Ultimate Fighting Championship (UFC) middleweight champion Israel Adesanya admitted that he was disappointed because the UFC wanted to erase his former fighter Francis Ngannou from the history of the world's biggest combat sport. "You can't erase Francis's legacy in the UFC," Adesanya said at the UFC 305 Media Day event, as quoted from the official MMA fighting website in Jakarta, Friday. Ahead of UFC 305, a promotional video was released showing comments made by Adesanya about the trio of African champions who had triumphed in the sport. At that time, Adesanya was accompanied by Francis Ngannou as the heavyweight champion and Kamaru Usman as the welterweight champion. The three champions from the Black Continent also expressed their plans to expand the sport further into Africa in the future. However, the edited promotion released by the UFC suspiciously removed Ngannou's name even though Adesanya mentioned it at the pre-fight press conference. Adesanya understands that the UFC has business to run, but trying to erase Francis Ngannou and his contributions to the sport makes no sense to him. "That's part of what we've done. It's forever in history, in stone. So trying to cover it up or not talk about it is ridiculous," the Nigerian said. Adesanya said he understands that Francis is fighting for the Professional Fighters League (PFL) now, but that is history. "You can't turn a blind eye to it. I'm sure they'll fix it eventually. That's how business works with the UFC," he said. The rift between the UFC and Ngannou has been brewing for some time now, with the Predator speaking out about several contractual issues he wants to resolve before potentially signing a new deal to stay with the organization. Ngannou's issues go beyond salary, but also the freedom to pursue outside interests such as his long-held dream of competing in boxing, which only came to him after he left the UFC as a free agent. Francis eventually signed with the PFL, but he was allowed to compete in boxing matches against Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua before finally making his debut against Renan Ferreira on October 19. Adesanya understands that the UFC has to view Ngannou and the PFL as opposition, but that doesn't negate the history they have together. "He's a part, integral, of what we do at the UFC. Right now, I know there's competition between other promotions and the UFC and the fights, but you can never erase history. On the streets, on the internet, Francis will always be remembered," he said. As for his personal relationship with the former UFC heavyweight champion, Adesanya said he still talks to Francis regularly and is excited to see his friend return to action in October. The fight also marks Francis's first appearance since the death of his 15-month-old son in April. Adesanya can't even begin to fathom the pain, but he wishes Ngannou nothing but the best as he restarts his MMA career in the PFL arena. "I'm happy for him. He just went through something I never wish on anyone. We've talked. I've checked in. Again, I have the utmost respect for Francis," he concluded.